Hello, everybody.
Howdy.
What do you do when your behind is in the ringer and being hung up to dry and you're trying to still hang on to your incoming money?
Identity. you start you start doing damage control.
And spinning a bunch of lies?
Well,
Mythologies?
yeah, mythologies. I mean, think about this. The generation that saw 1914 will not pass away until all these things, including the Great Tribulation, that generation's gone. Gone, deceased, no bueno, gone.
You've been watching John Newsom's videos. Loved your videos,
Can
John.
you explain to me?
Explain to me.
Yes.
You know how we weren't supposed to grow old in the system either.
Right.
And we're the 1975 generation.
Because we stayed alive up to and beyond. But here's the thing for you Jehovah's Witnesses. Go back and listen to what your organization has spewed out over the years. That generation that saw the beginning of 1914 would still be here. They're dead and gone. That was obviously a false prophet and a lie. And then how did they continue to keep you in the lie? Well, you see, brothers, that generation has to overlap now. You're still believing a lie because the original thing foretold about 1914 has passed. And unfortunately, regarding the child sexual abuse, Kim and I are now beginning to hear a lot of things, not only from some social media forums, but we're also hearing things, individuals contacting us. And it's sickening and it's disgusting how these men will continue to bury you Jehovah's Witnesses in a plethora of lies.
Well, I was going to say, do you want to hear some of the lies that are being told now?
Absolutely, because this is leading to something big, guys.
Yeah. CO told the congregation that the society is expecting lots of fake claims for mishandling child sex abuse due to a change in the law. It's being driven by apostates and greedy lawyers, all for money. When you hear about this, that's the reason. Now, there's several things in just this little paragraph that this person sent me. I'm not sure if I can use his first name, but thank you,
Thank you.
Thank you very much. The society is expecting lots of claims of mishandling child sex abuse.
More to come is what that means.
Yeah. So they have a heads up. And the thing is if they know how many blue envelopes they have in their database, they know how many potential lawsuits are coming their way.
Yes.
Think about that for a minute.
And I find it interesting that they're using the word greedy lawyers, all for money. Hello, my name is Mike. Would you like to hear the latest copy of, or have the latest copy of the Watchtower Awake? Why, sure, I'd love to read. You know, even though we don't charge for our literature, we do take donations. Wasn't that all for money?
Well,
Watchtower?
Look at Herd's talk at the convention.
Herd's talk?
You have to pay, we need new kingdom halls.
It's all for money. No matter who is at the forefront, whether it be lawyers or religious knuckleheads like the Watchtower Babble Crap Society.
Yeah. Now, first of all, we've got Watchtower's response to Zalkin's rebuttal to the Supreme Court. And I'm going to save you guys all of this. But it just boils down to wham. We did bring this all up to the appeal court in California. And they didn't listen to us. And they wouldn't even,
But there was something that Kim read in this that made me chuckle, because these lawyers went full Rutherford on everybody.
Yeah. Well, I'll just read here on page 3, the first full paragraph. They're talking about how they presented their First Amendment and third-party privacy arguments to the California Supreme Court. And California again failed to protect the First Amendment and privacy rights. And of course, poor Watchtower is being, penalized for this. Thereafter, the trial court reiterated its order for Watchtower to disclose interfaith communications because, as a matter of religious belief, Watchtower conscientiously refused to break the confidentiality of confessions and violate the privacy rights of individuals not involved in this case. The trial court issued terminating sanctions. Do you guys see what they're saying? Because of a matter of religious belief. So they believe in this clergy, penitent.
Even though they don't have a clergy class.
Confessional.
Right. Even though they destroy Christendom for having a clergy. So now that their backside is in the fire, now they're claiming, well, we have a clergy, we don't have to tell everybody. But there's something bigger going on behind all of this that we are not really privy to unless you hear what's being stated.
Watchtower is the ideal litigant to champion federal constitutional rights. And then they go on to name all of the cases they have taken all the way to the Supreme Court. And as a result, the efforts of the Jehovah's Witnesses, are the very ones to bring this to the Supreme Court. And I love it here on page 10 where they say, there is no factual void that prevents review. Respondent argues that this is the wrong case to adjudicate the issues presented for review because the default created a factual void. This argument fails as respondent concedes. And I don't know if you guys can see this. It says here fact, and then it'll have, what they write. Fact, and then they'll write something. Fact, fact, fact.
Fact! Millions now living will never die!
I swear, if I didn't know he was dead, I would swear Rutherford wrote this because, fact, California entered terminating sanctions because Watchtower protected intrafaith communications containing confidential confessions and sensitive private information regarding congregants throughout the United States. Fact, Watchtower never had a jury trial. You're going to get one now.
Yeah. Hey, be careful what you ask for, Watchtower.
Fact, California predicated liability against a church for negligent hiring and retention of clergy. And it just goes on and on. Fact, fact, fact.
Yes.
It's like, good Lord.
But the thing is Kim and I know for a fact that many things were sent to the United States Supreme Court when it was heard what Watchtower was doing.
Maybe like an organization book, one of the new organization books?
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
With, pages factfully pointed out that the governing body is in control.
Maybe a page.
Fact.
Maybe a page of the board of directors?
Yeah, how come nobody is really trying to drag the board of directors in any of this? Fact, when the governing body's gone, maybe there's nothing for the board of directors to direct. Who knows?
Now, we also got the third case that Zalkin filed in behalf of Kevin Ramirez.
And I'll be reading a couple of things from Black's Law Dictionary because Zalkin, beautiful.
Our hero.
Just absolutely beautiful.
Love that guy. Now, right here on the first page where it has the information, where it's naming the defendants, I loved seeing this because this is what we've been telling everybody. Defendant, governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses. And then right underneath that, they have and does 1 through 100 inclusive. Now, for those of you, who know a little bit about the law,
And this is what we've stated in other videos.
this is what we've said. You've got to have this in case Watchtower decides to pull another corporation out of their backside.
Yeah, because all along the CCJW was responsible for appointing men. You're not going to get away with that, Watchtower, because Zalkin included the CCJW up to 100 Jane Doe corporations. So you're going to have to pull out 101 Jane Doe corporations out of your backside before you're getting out of this one.
But I love right here underneath, it says demand for jury trial. So Watchtower should be careful what they wish for, because they're going to probably get their jury trial now.
Yeah, because wasn't it a jury in Montana that awarded $35 million? And I can recall seeing an interview with one of the jurors saying that, Watchtower pretty much deserved what they got because they were found guilty.
Now over here on page 2, when it's talking about parties, I thought this was interesting on point number 2, line 7. Defendant, San Dimas Congregation of Jehovah's Witnesses, California, congregation is an unincorporated association authorized to conduct business and conducting business in the state of California. See? Conduct business,
And
not a religion.
And that's probably what happened in California on the first series of cases, because it may have been found out that Watchtower was a business and not a religion, and that's why the state of California maybe seemingly chose to not look at your First Amendments, freedom of religion, because it could be proved that you're a business, not a religion, and that's what Zalkin's doing here too. So once Watchtower has been established as a business, I wonder how many civil lawsuits are going to come forward now from all of us wanting our wages for working for a business that had lied to us, making us believe that we were working for God.
And the thing is if any of you saw my lawsuit filed against the Mormon Church, the LDS, Church of Latter-day Saints, that I put up, a week or two ago, that's the same exact reason this lawsuit was filed against the Mormon Church, because some of the disgruntled ex-members are upset for being lied to and slaving away for the church when they found out that it was a corporation empire making money. It was for profit. So that is why that lawsuit was filed. And, Jehovah's Witnesses could, I'm sure they're saying, oh, look at the, Mormon Church. Oh, they're
Yeah.
a big business corporation for profit. And they don't realize that Watchtower is doing exactly the same thing.
Well, they don't realize that the Mormons are probably pointing the finger at them either. Look at them, Jehovah's Witnesses. They're in the courts now because they're a real estate empire, pretending to be a religion.
But I love the way this is worded. Number 5. Defendant governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses is an unincorporated association authorized to conduct business and conducting business in the state of California with its principal place of business in the state of New York. During the dates of the sexual abuse of plaintiff, defendant governing body established the sexual abuse policies implemented by defendant's congregation, Watchtower, and CCJW. See, they're covering everything now. In establishing that they established the policies for the elders and ministerial servants within the Jehovah's Witness organization and exercise supervision and control over the alleged pedophile. But I noticed here in number 6, it said that he is a natural person and was at all times relevant as an adult male at the time he committed the acts of sexual abuse on the body of the underage plaintiff alleged herein.
Okay.
Natural person.
Natural
For those
person.
of you who have done any research about straw men and corporation, and how each person is a corporation according to like the US government.
Right, see, and I don't remember what video it may have been. We've talked a bit about when you go to court, you have to establish what definition, according to Black's Law Dictionary, what definition of person that you are going to be using. So when you read some of these from Black's Law Dictionary regarding person, it says, in general usage, a human being, i.e., natural person. These are my words, not from the book. As opposed to your straw man or your corporate person. So now, when you fight for the natural person, well, wait till I get up to looking at the word, the definition for natural, because it also implies something else. So here again, though by statute term may include a firm, labor organizations, partnerships. You mean Watchtower partnering with CCJW to control the Jehovah's Witnesses? Associations, corporations, legal representative, trustees in bankruptcy, or receivers. You see, when it comes to person or persons, you have to define which one of these terminologies you're going to use and which one it applies. So if you're talking about a person of a firm, you're identifying the firm with a person, you have to make sure that that's the one that the whole court understands. So what Zalkin is doing is he's setting a definition for the natural person. So let's take a look at natural here real quick. Natural. The juristic meaning of this term does not differ from the vernacular, except in the cases where it is used in opposition to the term legal. And then it means proceeding from or determined by physical causes or condition, as distinguished from positive enactments of law, or attributable to the nature of man rather than to the commands of law, or based upon moral rather than legal considerations or sanctions. So what we really have here is, because Zalkin has used the term natural person, now they can argue a moral ethics.
Yeah, and just like them using defendant does 1 through 100 on point number 7, inclusive are individuals and or business or corporate entities incorporated in and or doing business in California whose true names and capacities are unknown to the plaintiff, who therefore sue such defendants by such fictitious names, and who will amend the complaint to show the true names and capacity of each such defendant when ascertained. So they're setting this groundwork knowing that Watchtower will pull another rabbit out of their hat and saying, oh, well, they're the ones in charge of this.
Right, so another one of their corporation becomes a person, becomes a Doe, a Jane Doe corporation.
Yeah.
See, that becomes another person.
And then here at the bottom of page 3, it says, the Jehovah's Witnesses and all related corporations and entities were acting in a joint venture at the time of tortious and unlawful activities described in this complaint. Meaning they're all working together. And like we've said before, all of these corporations, doesn't matter, which one they want to name. They all share a legal department.
They all share a moral responsibility to the natural man.
Yeah, exactly. But they talk about the governing body, how they're basically at the top of the hierarchy and everything kind of trickles down. And yeah, they mention here how, the congregations are sent letters from Watchtower, and they're the ones that, give instructions. record-keeping practices, establishing procedures, or remitting payments, handling administrative and procedural matters involving day-to-day congregation operations, specific instructions on how to respond to wrongdoing within the congregation, including childhood sex abuse. So they're encompassing all of this in this complaint.
Well,
so this is great.
We can certainly understand why there's a tremendous amount of damage control going through the organization right now, you know, trickling down to the rank and file sitting inside the Kingdom Hall, that's going to continue to deny what's in front of their face. Just like Watchtower said, oh, the generation that saw the beginning will still be here. That's right in front of your faces, Jehovah's Witnesses, and you're still going to deny. My mother, Joanne, you were promised you were never going to grow old in this system. You are denying the evidence that's in front of your face. You're growing old, and you even told me that you're going to die and still be in this system. So why are you continuing to deny what's right in front of your very eyes?
So, page 12, point 39, paragraph 39, last sentence at the bottom. I thought this was interesting. Despite being staffed with ministers, Watchtower's service department has never made a mandated child abuse report to law enforcement. That's big.
Never.
So for these circuit overseers to be telling the congregation, you know, these lies about, you know, there's more lawsuits coming because of greedy lawyers and apostates. No.
Because it's a business acting as a religion, and they've become filthy rich.
And yes, we are supporting the child abuse victims, survivors, and we will do anything to help them. And, you know, if they're brave enough to file a civil suit or, you know, a complaint against their perpetrator and Watchtower, then yeah, we are going to support them. We are going to help them. But we don't expect anything in return. So this is not all about money. And if you look at Zalkin's face during that second press conference, I think, oh no, I take that back. It was the interview, part number 1 of the Silent No More, when they were interviewing Zalkin himself. Look at his face. You can tell he is upset by what he knows, what he has seen. Same thing with the rest of us. You know, we're sickened by what we have heard of this horrible abuse that these poor kids suffered. It's horrible. So, yeah, I hope they get every penny they can. And if that's being greedy, then they have an attitude problem, because you should be setting up a fund to help these victims. You should apologize to these victims. You know, maybe if you did that, you wouldn't have so many coming your way.
Well, not only that, hand over the list with all the names on it so that they can be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law.
Yeah.
Because, see, what some of us don't stop to think about is that if there is a man that commits child abuse, he has to be a registered sex offender, which means he cannot be placed in a house within so many yards, so many feet, within so maybe even a mile or so within a schoolyard. Because we lived in Arizona when there was a registered sex offender that moved into a house behind us, and the neighborhood, when they found out, they were livid because they were within a mile of a school and kids were walking to school. This list needs to come out so these men can be prosecuted, so that we can protect our communities. Because Watchtower is not doing a darn thing to protect its own community inside their little kingdom halls, inside their little their little paradise, and they're not doing anything to protect the neighborhoods that they're knocking on the door saying, hey, have you heard the good news of the kingdom? Yeah, the good news of the kingdom is that this organization is hiding a horrific child abuse problem.
Yeah, they're doing something to protect the kids. Remember? They warn them not to let your kids go to the bathroom or the back rooms by themselves, and they make it the parents' responsibility.
You really went there.
Yeah.
That's a little too late for Watchtower. Don't you think?
Well, yeah.
That's a little too late.
Just playing the devil's advocate
That
here.
ain't gonna fly in court, Watchtower. It's as simple as that. It's not gonna fly in court.
Why don't you guys go cry to the Supreme Court? Well, we just did a Watchtower article, that has like a checklist of how to protect children.
Well, all they have to do is...
I'm sure they'll believe that one.
All they have to do is just go get, Mr. Potato Head Jeffrey Jackson when he was before the Australian Royal Commission and even admit they have a child abuse problem and that even some elders were part of that problem. I mean, it's already evidence right out of the mouth of the governing body. It's already evidence.
Yeah. But I know for a fact that many of you who have to sit in the Kingdom Hall, we call you affectionately PMOs. I know you're not believing this. I know you're not believing, the circuit overseers and these elders' lies that, that this is just, apostate lies and greedy lawyers. I know. So, just...
Of course we know, because they're emailing us.
Yeah. And we appreciate you, letting us know what is being said in your congregations and that it's being discussed in field service groups.
Yep.
When they're all standing at your little carts, they're talking about these abuse lawsuits, and it's only been 3 in just a few weeks.
Yeah. Well,
obviously Watchtower knows there's more coming.
Yeah. Just ask that Jehovah Witness, fully indoctrinated Jehovah Witness that you happen to be in service with if you're a PMO, and they start bringing this up about, the news lies and the apostate-driven lies and all this kind of crap. Just ask them, how long were you a Jehovah Witness? And hope to high heaven they were like in the truth 40, 50, 60 years and say, how come you're growing old when Watchtower promised you wouldn't?
Good question.
Get them to think. Get them to think, possibly without outing yourself. So you have to kind of, turn Watchtower's control mechanism around, because we all been trained and been trained to go from door to door to be observant. Look at the yard. Do they have a flower garden? Do they have, kids' toys in the yard? That's all designed to deceive the householder's mind, to get them to think that you really care. Do that with some of these ones in your car groups and just ask them, really? I was told I would never grow old in this system, and here I am growing old.
And the thing is for a lawsuit to be filed on child abuse, there has to be some kind of evidence.
It's merit.
And when you read these court documents, like this one, for example, they have evidence, they have letters that went from the body of elders to Watchtower and back and forth. There's documented evidence that they knew this pedophile had done it before. He was an elder. He was in position. Nobody was warned, and that there's probably many other victims of his. So, for them to say this is greedy lawyers and apostate lies, no. There's usually a paper trail or a little blue envelope, and Watchtower knew about it.
Yep.
Just like in here, Watchtower knew about it.
Yep.
And that's why they're getting hammered. It has nothing to do with greedy lawyers and apostates.
But there again, they've been so conditioned to deny the evidence that's in front of their face that they could actually tell the Jehovah's Witnesses that the governing body was miraculously lifted off in a spaceship to the dark side of the moon, and that's where they're running the congregations from, the organization, and the Jehovah Witness will believe it.
That would be a good place for them.
Dark side of the moon, yeah. I mean, it's just incredible how much mind control that they're exerting right now in the congregations. Because we've even heard the question and answers, in recent meetings, to where, the elder is asking questions and leading to a very, very specific answer, like apostate-driven lies. And yet, that elder, more than likely, has sat on multiple child abuse judicial hearings. So that elder is perpetrating a lie. He's getting the organization, he's getting that congregation and his congregants to believe his lie. Because he knows that there's a pedophile problem, there's a child abuse problem. Otherwise, it would have never ever been discussed in the Shepherd the Flock of God book.
Yep.
There'd never be directions on what to do.
There wouldn't be a whole chapter dedicated to child abuse. But as this brings out, it's a secret manual that Jehovah's Witnesses are not told about or allowed to look at.
So the very men that have sat on judicial hearings regarding child sexual abuse or pedophilia are the men on the stage at the podiums directing the lie.
Yeah.
And the Jehovah's Witnesses swallow it, hook, line, and sinker. Unbelievable.
Well, tell me a circuit overseer doesn't know of at least a couple of, child abuse cases in his circuit. And they don't know what's going on at Watchtower.
They know.
They don't know that the service department has never reported a child abuse case.
They know.
They don't know about the blue envelopes and the database.
They know.
Yeah, right.
They know. So anyhow, guys, this is what we've got. We've got the legal documentation, what's been filed, and there's a lot more in it than what we've covered here.
If you go to the Zalkin law firm, you can get some of the stuff there. And I know that several of you are on Facebook, and you can do Zalkin Law Firm on Facebook, and he is posting some of the stuff on there. There was an article, that he posted the other day that somebody sent me, and I didn't get a chance, to read it. But anyway, it's out there.
Yes.
And if for some reason you can't find, these documents, then you can email me at kimmymbrooks@gmail.com. And I don't know how many videos we're going to be getting to, because we have a carpet to replace and we're going to be putting down new flooring. So we're getting too old for this, I know. But it needs to be done. It's 13 years old and it's a nasty carpet.
Okay, so anyhow, guys, thanks for watching. We hope that this information has been helpful to you in some way. And keep your heads erect. Watchtower ain't going to get out of this so easy, I don't believe.
Yeah. And we're not giving Watchtower a heads up about anything they don't know about already.
That's right.
Because I know some, have been doing some videos about public information. And, they're getting hammered for releasing this information. And it's like, but this is public knowledge. You can go to the Zalkin, Facebook page or Twitter or his, website. The press conferences and news is reporting it. This is public knowledge. It's all over the place. So just be kind to one another. We're all doing the best we can. And, I know some of us make mistakes, but we're doing the best we can, as tired as we are. So, you all have a great evening.
Bye.
Bye.